Joining us on the broadcast now, we have Major Mohammed Ali Shah on the story. Thank you so much, Major Shah, for speaking with NewsX early this morning. Sir, if I can just quickly ask you a little bit about what it is that you make of this recent suicide attack that has taken place in Balochistan as of yesterday. Sir, there have been multiple police personnel that have been killed in this attack, and this is not the first such attack that has taken place. Sir, it's the one of many that has been taking place in the last couple of months. Where do you think, sir, Pakistan is headed as far as its internal security situation is concerned?
Okay, Pari, that's a very, very good question. It's a question which everyone would be having, would be intrigued by this question because of the current state of economy and the security situation and the terrorist attacks in Pakistan. In the last 24 hours, second attack, suicide attack in Balochistan. And of course, the Deputy Commissioner of Police over there in that province, Sami Agha, he's confirmed that it was a suicide attack. Now, the very fact that 9 policemen killed, 13 others wounded, and I would presume the toll would rise up further, over time. So, Pakistan, there have been attacks at the police headquarters there have been attacks in Karachi, in Lahore, in Quetta, there's no place where Pakistan, there has not been an attack, and they specialize in what? In suicide attack, which means they'll blow themselves up. Earlier also, a burqa-clad woman had come and she had blown herself up, and this thing has been happening. Now, as far as the security situation is concerned in Pakistan, it's a golden question because the Pakistanis say that we themselves are, hum khud pareshan hai, ugravadiyon ki se. But I don't know, it's very simple. The Home Minister sometime back in the parliament, he had spoken just about a few days back, that what was the need to actually breed mujahids in the soil? Because those mujahids are coming back and biting them. So if you harbor snakes in your backyard thinking the snakes will bite their neighbor, but they'll come around and bite you. That's exactly what's happening in Pakistan. They have given rise to terrorism. They have given rise to, they have trained, they have specialized in IT, international terrorism, not information technology, but international terrorism. So when they have done such a thing, जो दूसरे के लिए गड्ढा खोदता है वो उसी में गिरता है. So the very fact that Pakistan has encouraged terrorism, that's the only thing that they are good at. They are not good at anything else. The economy is down because of the nature of history with the IMF that's happened since 1950, since the time they joined IMF. Now look at terrorism. Look at two nations, Paridhi, two nations which started the journey at the same time, approximately 14th August 1947 and 15th August 1947. One nation is progressing, other is also moving, but moving backward. It's moving regressing. So why? Why is that so? We are a peaceful nation. India loves peace. India talks peace. But Pakistan, on the other hand, maro, kato, violence, this, that, jihad, the term, they have misconstrued the entire terminology of jihad. Jihad doesn't mean terrorism. Jihad means a struggle, basically. But because of it originates from Pakistan, what the image that comes to a common man's mind is a man standing with an AK-47 and shouting jihad, jihad. That is what Pakistan has done, who consider themselves to be the custodians of Islam, but they are not. The whole religion, Islamophobia is Pakistan is responsible for that. The whole religion gets a bad name because of the act that comes through Pakistan. Rather than leadership, I would say. The leadership has really let the people down. And so the entire Pakistan also gets a bad name. So the very fact is the security situation is going to get worse over there. And by the end, I will not be surprised if Pakistan gets fragmented in the future, in the days to come. Then days were numbered, their foreign reserves were hardly anything. They are broke, they are downtrodden, they are, I would say, civil wars over there are already happening in the Sindh province. Where else can you expect an IG, an Inspector General of a police? IG is a very senior rank. The military coming overnight and kidnapping him and pushing him away. And they are attacks on schools, on innocent children. Where would you hear this? People brutally assaulting and killing. Attacking, I would not say assaulting, I would say attacking and killing children rather. So here, their bravery, I will tell you, I'll conclude by saying their bravery is limited to going and inflicting casualty on children, on women, and that is, they consider that very, very brave. They consider that, and in fact, it is really, the security situation in Pakistan is a very interesting question. I can go on and on. I can write a full thesis on it, but all I can tell you is, Paridhi, that nation is just going to the dogs for their own ill-doing, for their own ill actions.
All right, Major Shah, I also want to ask you a little bit, sir, about, the TTP and the fact that the TTP continues to carry out attacks in Pakistan. Now the security situation in Pakistan has been deteriorating for the last couple of months, ever since, the Taliban took over Afghanistan. But it seems to have gotten worse in the last couple of months. Why do you think that is?
Interesting question again. Pariti, the fact is the formation of TTP was Pakistan, the Pakistan government. That's a different thing that, it could be. I would say if Imran Khan's regime would have been there today, the TTP would have been softer. The TTP, who they were in the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, they were in ceasefire with them. Since November, they have broken the ceasefire and they are now all out. In fact, a lot of people from TTP are saying now there's going to be Khuda ka regime hoga yahan pe. They do not know what Khuda's regime is in the first place. So both of them, I would say both are at fault, the TTP and the Pakistan government, both for that matter. And now the TTP wants to take over Pakistan. I will not be surprised. If I give you a hypothetical situation, like what happened in Afghanistan on 15th August 1921 or 2021, the Taliban came to power, the Taliban threw out their government, took over their military, everything. What if the TTP takes over Pakistan and they throw out General Asim Mahmood, the current chief, they throw off the Prime Minister, the President, and the TTP takes over completely in Pakistan? What can you imagine what the situation in Pakistan is going to be like? And I will not be surprised. I will not be surprised. It's not impossible. It is just not impossible.
And not just Pakistan, Major Shah, it's going to be detrimental for the entire subcontinent, because if at all it is the TTP that makes inroads into Pakistan more than it already has, over and above the terrorism that is happening, then it's not going to be good news not only for Pakistan but also for neighboring nations, for India to start with.
And since we are immediate neighbors, if there's fire in your neighbor's house, it will affect you somewhere. If there is a famine in the neighbor's house, if there is a problem, if there's domestic violence, if we hear domestic violence in our colony somewhere, we hear women or children shouting, screaming, it affects us somewhere. So we find that we get disturbed. That is there straight away the colony groups, the WhatsApp group get activated, if some screaming, shouting happening from here. It affects in our common day-to-day life. Similarly, when there is a trouble in our neighborhood, in a neighboring country, in fact, let me tell you, they are self-sufficient, they are atmanirbhar, they are totally self-reliant to destroy themselves. They don't need an external enemy. They do not need. They are very, very self-destructive themselves. Now, the very fact that they might be our enemy and this trouble might be happening in the enemy house, but the very fact that it affects us, as you rightly said, it affects the entire country, it affects the entire world, in fact. So, Pakistan, in fact, they are the troublemakers. They are today not a single person or a single country standing with them. They have gone to Saudi Arabia begging for a loan with a begging bowl. UAE gave them chiller, minuscule, here, keep the change, you filthy bugger, like that kind of stuff. China has turned their back. They closed consulate in the embassy. So has it ever happened, Paridi? Have you noticed a person falls down in the park while riding a bicycle or by the football field? But the moment a person falls down, there are 10 people who rush toward that person to lift up that person, to pick him up. Are you all right? I hope nothing happened. I hope you're not hurt. Right? But here, when Sri Lanka had a crisis, the whole world was standing with Sri Lanka. When Turkey had a crisis of earthquake, Turkey, Syria, India was one of the first ones to react. And we sent our rescue operation teams over there. But why is it that not a single person is standing with Pakistan despite them actually literally begging for help? Why? That's because of the history with IMF. From 1950 to 1958, they went to IMF for the first time. They took 22 loans from IMF. 13 times they have defaulted. Now, talk about terrorism, be it Lashkar-e-Toiba, Lashkar-e-Mohammed, be it Al-Qaeda, I mean everything. Al-Qaeda chief, Osama bin Laden ultimately was found in Pakistan. After US launched operation in Libya, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, war against terrorism, where was Osama bin Laden found? But again, by killing one Osama bin Laden, they did not end up the entire terrorism. So the ideology has to be nipped in the bud. But the very fact is, they are so deep-rooted, they are so intense, and they are so passionate about this whole belief of, I don't know which bunkum, which foolish world they live in. I really don't understand that this thing. Their first Prime Minister, Liaquat Ali Khan, in 1951, when he was assassinated, that time there was a very famous poet, in fact, he was in the British Indian Army, he was a Lieutenant Colonel Faiz Ahmed Faiz. was a revolutionary poet. He wrote several poems, in fact, and he was termed as an anti-national. So he had to leave in 1951. Even he was jailed for 4 years in prison. He had to go off to Yugoslavia and other nations and in exile. Look at the former prime minister. Look at the fate that they meet. General Pervez Musharraf he could not come back. He died in Dubai in exile. Look at Nawaz Sharif's brother, Nawaz Sharif. Just yesterday, Paridhi, very interestingly, on Bond Street in London, he stepped out from a Rolls Royce, went out to the Louis Vuitton store to shop, where Pakistan is suffering with famine, terrorist activities. They have trouble. I don't know whether he was buying those gifts for his brother, who is the current Prime Minister of Pakistan or not. But the very fact is, they do not change. They are, in Urdu, I would call the term Nasr. Nasr is a wound which never heals. So it's like kuch ilaj hi nahi hai inka. So China or Pakistan, both of them are Nasr, in fact, for that matter. And the very fact, international community, everyone has tried their best. We have tried to talk to them peacefully. We have gone into their house and struck them hard and real hard by air and by land, but they just do not improve. So the security situation in Pakistan is very precarious. And with regard to TTP, which you rightly brought out, TTP is going to cause further end to Pakistan, for that matter.
All right, Mr. Srivastava as well as Major Shah, thank you so much for speaking with us about the situation that is currently underway in Pakistan.